What's going on, JP Football Fanatics fans? It's your boy James here, back with you once again with my Week 10 picks. So, before I begin, just want to say I apologize. I know it's been a couple of weeks, not a couple of weeks, but it's been almost a week since I posted on here. I apologize. I was out sick the last couple of days, so I wasn't able to get my picks in as much as I would have really loved to. But I'm going to do them real quick before the first game of the morning, which, if you are all awake on Eastern time, we'll be starting off with the first game of the day today of the Colts and the Patriots. So that will be the first game today. So I want to try to get that pick in at least before that game starts. So if all of you can please do me the favor, please drop a like on this video. If you have not done so already, please be sure to also leave a comment down below on things that you like about the channel, what you don't like, what are some things that you would like to change for the future, and that sort of thing. And also, hit that subscribe button as well. Hit the subscribe button to help me out in terms of what are some things that you guys would like me to do moving forward, because I know that there's a lot of different content and a lot of different things that I would love to do on this channel, but I can't do it until you guys help me out in terms of like what would you like me to do, and that will definitely help get everything going. So if you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, help out the channel to be the best that it possibly can be. That would be great. So before we begin with the picks, I just want to get to the to my last week's picks real quick before my last week's pick record before I get to it. So before I get to the picks for this week, so didn't get to change the overall record, so I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet. It's most likely like 70. It's going to be like 73 and 63, something like that overall. But last week I had another successful week of being 9-5, getting better as the season gets on. As you can tell, the first 5 weeks were not pretty, but if you take a look for the last 4 weeks, I've been getting a lot better. So that definitely has been helping a lot, and hopefully I continue to do better throughout the week. I already know that I'm going to start 0-1 because I picked the Panthers on Thursday night just for my own sake, and I lost that one, so I'm going to be 0-1 starting week 10. But hopefully all the other picks that I do will be bigger and better than what it was last week. So without further ado, everybody, let's get started with the first game of the morning, which is going to be starting at 9:30 sharp. And that is the Indianapolis Colts at the New England Patriots / in Frankfurt, Germany. So the Colts, last time I checked, they were favored by 1.5 points here. A lot of people were picking the Colts, especially because of the ground game. Their ground game has been significantly fair and consistent, and they've been doing really well with running the football this year, a lot better than people were expecting to between Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss. So I think their ground game is extremely underrated, that I think a lot of teams need to really focus on for today. And then you talk about the Patriots offense. They lost last week to Washington. Obviously, that's not a great showing right there. But the Colts have been coming on a little bit. They've been getting better, consistently better. I feel like their offense is starting to click a little bit. Their passing game is still a little inconsistent, but Gardner Minshew is proving that he can still play in this league and that he should be a starter in this league. So I definitely have no doubts that Gardner Minshew is going to be just fine moving forward. But I think this is a good game for the Patriots to kind of come back on. I think defensively, I think it's a good one too, because this is going to put them to the test of knowing whether or not if they're going to be able to stop the run. And that's going to be a tough one, because that's normally where the Patriots are not the most successful on when it comes to defense. They're not usually the greatest when it comes to the ground game. So I think they're going to struggle in that aspect, and that's kind of going to be where it was a couple of years ago when these two teams played, and Jonathan Taylor ran all over the Patriots, and that's basically how they really won that game, was handing the ball off to Jonathan Taylor every single time and break out for some yardage, and that's really how they beat them the last time, 2 times ago. That was last year. They got blown out. The time before that, that was when Carson Wentz is at quarterback. That was when they didn't really utilize the quarterback that much, and which is very likely that will happen again. That will very likely happen again, and I think Indianapolis's defense is kind of good, not bad. I don't think they're great. I don't think they're as good as they were the last couple of years, but I think they're still competitive. I think they can still make some plays. I think Kenny Moore also puts a lot of pressure on them. And as far as the Patriots offensive line, they're going to take advantage of DeForest Buckner, who's going to get back in there and get all over the quarterback. So, a factor right there. So I'm going to pick the Colts to win. I'm going to take the Colts to cover the spread too. I think it's kind of a tough game. I think it's an evenly matched kind of game where, the Patriots are going to play defense and, the Colts are going to have to really depend on their offense to really get things going, because that's really their biggest way of how they're going to win this game is if they can get the ground game going. And as long as there's separation between Michael Pittman and whoever else is going to be at wide receiver 2 for today, Josh Downs is playing today, last I've heard. If I hear anything different, let me know. But I think him playing in there too helps out with that separation for Michael Pittman, so that way the ball isn't being kept to be isn't being fed to him every single time, because their wide receiver room is kind of lacking. Not exactly the greatest, but they're not terrible either, and that's where they kind of were going to struggle throughout the year in that aspect. But I think the Colts do enough. I think they can get the ground game going. I think they win this game. I think they cover the spread in that aspect. So give me the Colts to win. Give me the Colts to cover. That's going to be a pretty good game for the both teams in Germany today. Next, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the 49ers are favored by 3. I have to pick the 49ers, right? Can I really see them losing 4 straight? I don't know, man. I mean, the Niners have been struggling the last few weeks, and them coming off of a bye week, it's very questionable to see where they're going to end up. And, I don't know. I can't really see Kyle Shanahan losing 4 straight games in a row and going 5-4. I really can't. Jacksonville, as much as I think they're a dark horse, as much as they've been consistent and they've been clicking and everything, I just don't see it happening this week. I don't know. I just feel like there's that 49ers way of like how, you can lose to the Browns, you can lose to the Vikings, and then you lose to probably the hottest team right now, the Bengals, or one of the hottest teams. I don't know if I can see you losing 4 straight in a row. I don't know if I can really see that. So I'll take the Niners to win. I'll take the Niners to cover the spread. It will be a good game, though. I think it will be a fairly low-scoring game that will be good enough. It'll keep things on track, but I don't see the Jags beating the 49ers. I don't see the Niners losing 4 straight games. I just don't personally see it. So give me the Niners to win. Give me the Niners to cover the spread too, because I think whether they win or lose, they're going to keep it close. Jacksonville tends to win some of these games at times in close, dramatic fashion. So that's why I'm saying, either or with the spread, you could take Jacksonville +3, but I'm going to take the Niners -3 because there's a good chance that they are going to win, and I don't see them losing 4 straight in a row. I just don't see that. All right, next we've got the New Orleans Saints at the Minnesota Vikings. This is a game that's been a pretty nice rivalry for the last couple of years, especially since Stephon Diggs caught that miracle touchdown, that miracle in Minneapolis, touchdown to win in that playoff run there for the Vikings until they got crushed by the Eagles, sadly. So Vikings have been catching on they've been doing all right without Kirk Cousins. They won last week against the Falcons. This is going to be a bigger test than the Falcons this week with the Saints defense, who I have to say has not been very impressive the last couple of weeks, especially last week. I felt like they gave up way too many big time plays to the Bears. I felt like they've almost gave that game up a lot of times and really should have allowed the Bears to actually score, and they probably should have won that game into overtime or at least lost that game. I don't feel like the Saints necessarily played good in that game. But the Vikings are getting back up there. Josh Dobbs came in. This will be his first official start today. Last week it was Jaren Hall, the rookie, and he got hurt, and Josh Dobbs will be playing to take in place of that. But this will be a good competitive game. I think it's going to be a really close game. I could see either team going either way. I could see the Vikings winning because it is at home. It's a tough place to play in Minnesota. The place is going to be loud. You're going to see all the Viking horns playing all over the place. They're going to want this game badly. They're definitely going to want this game very badly. And if they do win this game, they're pushing closer and closer to a playoff run, which would be impressive if they can do it with Josh Dobbs. I love the story of him this year. I feel like the story of him has been very fun to watch. It's been really fun to watch and listen about from a quarterback who really is still technically still a backup quarterback, but can win games in certain moments, and really played well with Arizona. And he wasn't really the reason why they lost a lot of those games. It's because their offense in Arizona stinks. So this is a really tough game, man. I don't know who I'm going to go with because I could definitely see either one of these two teams winning. So I feel like this it's tough because, and I think the Saints, not the Saints, I'm sorry, the Vikings defense has been getting better with Brian Flores. I feel like they've been more competitive. They've been playing a lot of really tough coverage. They've been more physical than any other defense I've seen in recent weeks. So it's a really tough matchup. This is a really tough game. But I think I'm going to go with, I'm still going to go with the Saints. I'm going to go with the Saints to win. I like the Vikings story a lot, but I feel like the Saints are going to find a way to somehow magically win this time around. It usually seems to flip back and forth every single year, every single time these two teams play. So I'll take the Saints to win. I'll take them to cover the spread, but don't be surprised if you take the +3 with the Vikings. I would not be opposed to that at all because I feel like the Vikings have a legitimate opportunity to take advantage of a Saints defense that's been playing poor lately. So I'll take the Saints. It's the safer option for me. I'll take them to cover the spread. We'll see how that goes. I think it's going to be a really close, competitive game. Next, you got the Tennessee Titans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are favored by 1.5 points. Don't understand really why they're favored by that much, considering of how they lost last week to Houston. Tennessee, with Will Levis, I feel like they've been more productive. They've been playing some good football as of late. The Bucs, on the other hand, has also been playing good offense, but their defense kind of sold last week against C.J. Stroud and the Texans, and they gave up almost 500 yards of passing and 5 touchdowns to a rookie. That's crazy to think about. That's unreal. But, congratulations to C.J. Stroud in that aspect. I definitely wish the kid well. But with Will Levis at under center, and with him being, the sole guy that's really been launching the ball down the field has been impressive. I feel like this guy has the arm talent of Josh Allen, and I feel like if he had more, I feel like his mobility is also very underrated too, because when you take a look at his film from his college days, he's been able to move the ball, been able to move quite well outside of the pocket. And I feel like if Mike Vrabel gave him more of an opportunity to move outside of the pocket, I think he would help out with Derrick Henry and Spears in the ground game a little bit. So that way they don't have to rely on them so heavily, and allow Levis to also control the ground game a little bit himself and be able to pass at the same time. So I feel like his mobility is pretty underrated. That should be utilized a lot more. And I think they will be able to do that. I think it's going to be easier for Levis to move the ball on Tampa Bay's secondary than it was last week against Pittsburgh. I think that's definitely definitely a possibility, definitely something that I would consider in that aspect. I know they don't have the offense that they used to have. I get that. They're not the best offense in the league, obviously. But I think Will Levis puts a spark into the game. I think he does a better job with moving the football. I think he's a bit more aggressive than what Ryan Tannehill has been in recent days. So, I like the story of what Levis has been coming. I also like the way Baker Mayfield has been playing too. He also had a phenomenal game last week that's not really been talked about enough by the media, and that really should be. But I'll take I'll take the Bucs to win though. Just because I feel like that Baker Mayfield is not gonna lose another game in a row, and I feel like they've been playing well. They've been playing some good football lately, but I think it's gonna be like a wild shootout kind of a game. Not as high scoring as it was last week against the Texans, but I think it's going to be a much higher. It's going to be a higher scoring game. It's going to be in the 20s. They're going to be kind of going back and forth a little bit, maybe get a couple of fights in here and there. But I'll take the Bucs to win. I'll take the Bucs but I'll take the Titans to cover the spread at +1.5. I'll take the points with the Titans, but I'll take the safer option and take the Bucs to win the game straight up, because I like the Titans and I think they have the ability to win, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did win this game. But I think Baker Mayfield also has something to prove too. So I'll take the Bucks to win, but I'll take the Titans at +1.5. All right, next game we've got the Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens, and the Ravens are favored by 6.5 points. Uh, the Ravens, they've been hot. Lamar Jackson has been absolutely hot this year. I can't bet against Lamar Jackson. I can't pick against him at all. I feel that there's so much that the Ravens have to prove this year. They've been the hottest team right now in the NFL. The Browns have been up and down. They have been good enough in some games. I think their defense has been the reason why they've won a lot of those games, because their defense has been rock solid this year. Offensively, they played well against the Cardinals, but they're going to be playing against the Ravens. And yeah, they usually do play very well against the Ravens. They usually split with them every year. But I have a feeling that the Ravens are going to come out here and they're going to come out on top and win the game. It's probably going to be a lot closer than what it was last time these two teams played. I think they played in week 3 or 4 or something like that, because Deshaun Watson wasn't in this game because of a shoulder injury. And I think with Watson being kind of up and down, having no idea if the guy wants to play football or not, it's been extremely difficult to really kind of decide and see where he's been wanting to be this year. So I'll take the Ravens to win. I think they've been playing extremely hot. They've been all over the field. Lamar has been balling the ball out to all of his wide receivers, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, an excellent offensive line. And what I also like about the Ravens this year, versus what they haven't done in the last couple of years, is not let Lamar run the ball as much, and they allow the running backs like Gus Edwards and Justice Hill and Kareem Mitchell. All the running backs are utilizing all of the running backs significantly much better than what they have the last couple of years, and that's more or less because of the injuries that the running backs have had the last couple of years. And last year was not pretty for any of them, with J.K. Dobbins out all of last year and Gus Edwards out a lot of the year too. So I'll take the Ravens to win. It's been a good year for the Ravens. They've been staying healthy for the most part, consistent, on point. I'll take the Ravens to win, but I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a much more competitive game with Deshaun Watson in there, but I think Deshaun Watson's probably going to throw at least an interception or two, or turn the ball over on the Ravens defense. All right, next, this could be a potential another game of the week for the Texans. The Texans and the Bengals. The Bengals are favored by 6.5. Why are they favored by that much? I have no idea why, because this is kind of like disrespect to the Texans, if you think about it, honestly. I mean, the Texans last week, they put up 39 points against the Bucks. Like, come on, guys. Like, got to get real here. C.J. Stroud is the real deal. That's kind of disrespectful to the Texans and C.J. Stroud. But the Bengals are favored by 6.5. The Bengals have been playing hot. They won against the Bills last week. They've been winning some games here and there. They've been on a winning streak lately. This is something that they typically do every single year. At least it seems like that they start out really slow the first 4 weeks, and then they pick it up for the next 5. And we'll see if they can pick it up in this next week here too against the Texans. Now, the Texans defense, I think, is extremely underrated. They've had their moments this year, their flashes of how well they can play in coverage. But I think their biggest problem really is kind of stopping the run. I don't think they're that spectacular with stopping the run, which is where the Bengals, without T. Higgins, is going to want to vocal point their ground game a little bit more, which I think they will take advantage of, and Joe Mixon will get more involved as like that running back / receiver type, who will get some valuable points for the team. And then you still have Jamar Chase, who was questionable at the beginning of the week because of his back. He got injured last week against the Bills, but he's playing this week. We'll see how he does. He might be a little bit limited, but expect Joe Mixon to be more involved in this game. Expect Tyler Boyd to be more involved in this game. It should be a really good game against Joe Burrow, the number 1 overall pick in 2020, versus C.J. Stroud, the 2nd overall pick of the 2023 draft. This is going to be a really good game. Could potentially be game of the week, honestly. I'll take the Bengals still. I still love Joe Burrow. I still love the Bengals. I think their defense is also a bit better, where they'll probably get some more pressure on C.J. Stroud versus last year with the Bucs and their weak secondary. So I'll take the Bengals to win. I'll take the Bengals to. I don't know if I want to take the cover the spread because I think their spread of 6.5 is just pretty large. Not gonna lie to you, I think it's very large, and I don't feel exactly confident in. So I'm gonna avoid betting on this game, but I think the Bengals end up winning this game straight up though. Uh, but maybe take the Texans plus 6.5 because I think it's going to be a really close game. I think that would be a pretty safe bet for you. Or even look at the over under two, which I think the game could potentially be depending on what the over under score is, but for total points, it could be higher. So I would take the over under, take a look at that, and see where you guys will get from there. All right, next game we got the Green Bay Packers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Packers won last week basically because their defense won them that game, and Brett Rippon was not a very good backup. So the Steelers win this game, hands down. Defense all over it. Jordan Love, until Jordan Love can prove that he can win in these big time moments, if he can prove that he can win in these big time games, I can't pick the Packers to win many more games this season. The Steelers offense, yeah, not great, obviously, although they've won 5 games this year. But they've won them because of their defense and not because of Kenny Pickett, not because of their wide receivers, not because of the ground game, although it is getting better, which I think Najee Harris and Jalen Warren will probably have a pretty good game. The Packers still can't stop the run. They should be able to stop the pass, but I feel like they're also going to let up on a lot of yardage, too, against Matt Canada's offense. That's going to be extremely embarrassing. I'm taking the Steelers to win. As long as the Steelers are at home, as long as the terrible towels are there, as long as Mike Tomlin is coaching this team, they're going to find a way to win this game. So I'll take the Steelers to win. I'll take the Steelers to cover the spread in this game because why not? Because the Steelers, I don't know. What else can I really say about the Packers right now? Very inconsistent in passing, very inconsistent in running the ball. There's just not a lot I can really say that's positive about the Packers right now. So give me the Steelers to win. Next game, another really good game this week. A lot of really good games this week in Week 10. The Detroit Lions at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Lions are favored by 3. The Chargers won last week against the Jets in not so much in convincing fashion. I don't really think they really won that game by the score that they said. I feel like a lot of it was because of the Jets' turnovers, with them fumbling the ball. Zach Wilson not exactly playing his greatest football of the year. The ground game not really getting there, which is credit to the Chargers defense in terms of getting better at. They've been better with stopping the run this year, which is impressive, honestly, which has been about time that they've done that. But the Chargers defense, in terms of secondary, is you can pass on them, but you got to also get through their linebackers. You got to get through their pass rush. That is, I think, is pretty underrated. I think the Lions and Jared Goff are going to have a difficult time with getting the ball out at times. They may be successful, though, because the Lions' offensive line has been good this year. Their offensive coordinator is right now the best offensive coordinator in football. They design these games. The Lions are for real. The Chargers sell out on a lot of games. So I got to go with the Lions here, though. As much as I like the Chargers, as much as I like their offense and Justin Herbert, I can't trust Brandon Staley to beat Detroit in this kind of big stage here at home. There's going to be a lot more Lions fans there than there are Chargers fans. Sorry, Chargers fans, but I'm going to take the Lions to win. I'm going to take the Lions to cover the spread at 3. It's going to be a really good game, though. I think it's going to be a really high-scoring game that might come down to the wire, where Jared Goff probably throws a touchdown pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown, or maybe Jahmyr Gibbs gets a rushing touchdown here. It'll be a really good game, though. But I'm going to take the Lions to win. I'm going to take the Lions to cover the spread. Next, we got the New York Giants at the Dallas Cowboys. 17.5 points is the margin for the Cowboys. That's a lot of points. A lot of points for the Cowboys, but the Giants' season's shot at this point. No Daniel Jones. Saquon, how much can he really do? No Darren Waller. Paris Campbell, are you going to really trust him to be your number one? there's a lot of things. You get the idea. Cowboys are going to win. That's the that's just the bread and butter of the story. Cowboys are going to win. Take the points. Is really extremely difficult and maybe it's gutsy as it may sound. Take the points with the Cowboys at 17.5. A lot of points, but hey, it's well worth it. The Cowboys beat them last time 40-0 in week 1. I no other way to explain it. It's going to be a really ugly game here. So I don't have a lot more to really say about that game. So I'm just going to skip it. But take the Cowboys. Take the Cowboys to win straight up. Take the Cowboys to cover the spread. Gutsy, but hey, it works. Next, you got the Washington Commanders, and they're playing against the Seattle Seahawks. Really, really good matchup here for the Seahawks, but bad for the Commanders, who have not been impressive against the pass. They gave up 17 against Mac Jones last week and that passing attack. Besides that one interception that Mac Jones had at the late in the game, the Patriots played quite well in that game, I thought. The Seahawks in this game should have a better game than they did last week, hopefully. Geno Smith was probably the worst quarterback in the league last week, but I think he's going to be better this week. He should be able to pass the ball to Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. He should be able to get the ground game going as well. You know, the Commanders have been able to do some things. You know, offensively, Sam Howell has been up and down lately, but he's been fair enough. He can do some things. He can get the passing game going. I think, you know, as long as Ron Rivera calls those conservative plays and everything, they should be better. They should be fine. But I think the Seahawks still win, especially at home. The one thing I've learned about Seattle is that you never want to really overlook Seattle if they are the home team. You never want to overlook that because they've always played very well at home. Because of the loud noise, their fan base has been extremely all over the place. This is going to be a pretty good game. It should be a really good bounce back game for the Seahawks. So give me the Seahawks to win. Give me the Seahawks to cover the spread. Also, prayers that Geno Smith plays really well in my fantasy football league because I have him playing with Justin Fields out this week. All right, 2 more games left. Next, you got the New York Jets at the Las Vegas Raiders. This is Sunday Night Football. Tell me why this is Sunday Night Football and not the Lions and the Chargers or the Texans and the Bengals. Tell me why this game is Sunday Night Football still. I have no idea why, but it is what it is. The Jets surprisingly are favored by 1 point here. The Raiders benched Jimmy Garoppolo last week. They're still going with Aiden O'Connell for the foreseeable future. I think it's the smarter choice personally. I think Jimmy Garoppolo, I believe his time in Las Vegas, I think his time as a quarterback in this league is just about over. Just because that he hasn't played well, 1 for sure, and 2 because of his injury history. I just don't trust him playing against this Raiders offense. And I think Aiden O'Connell, I don't think he's been getting enough credit, or at least he hasn't been enough talked about this season. I don't think. I think he's played very underrated. I think he has an incredibly underrated arm. That was shown last week against the Giants when he threw that ball down the field. It was quite impressive to really see. And their defense is also a lot better than what it was last year. That's something you got to really give credit to. The Jets offense stinks. They can't run the ball, hardly. Maybe that's like their only threat. They can at times if they break open some runs there and open up the line, open up a hole for Breece Hall to throw into, or unless if Zach Wilson throws him the ball and then he explodes for like 80-yard run touchdowns or whatever, you know, he can be very flashy, but they can't really run the ball. Zach Wilson's very inconsistent with passing the ball too. His only reliable target is Garrett Wilson. Their offensive line stinks, and what really keeps them in the game is their defense, and that's why they've won all those games is based off of defense. 4 games against the Bills, against the Eagles, against the Broncos, against whoever else they played, the Giants. They've won those games because of defense, and their defense is a top 3 unit. And it's very weird to say how the Jets have such an elite defense, but have a horrific offense. It doesn't make sense at all, but that's just the way that it is. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets won, mainly because the Raiders always find a way to kind of lose some of these games. So it's a really, really, really tough matchup here. So I think it's going to be tough in terms of passing a ball. This will be an extremely hard defense for Aiden O'Connell. I think he's going to struggle in this game like Justin Herbert did last week, just like Jalen Hurts did, just like Josh Allen did, and Patrick Mahomes. I think Aiden O'Connell is not going to have that much success with passing the ball, but I think as long as they can, conserve time on the field, as long as they can stop the Jets offense, the Raiders should find a way somehow to win this game. Wouldn't be surprised. So I will take the Raiders to win because they are the home team, and I think that's fair. I'll take the Raiders to win the straight up, but take the Jets at -1 because I am not going to be surprised if the Jets won this game. I'm just not. I'm not going to be surprised at all if the Jets found a way to win this game. But I'm picking the Raiders because, one, they are the home team. They play typically better at home than they do across the country. That's straight up facts. I think they're a better team offensively. Not much, but I think they're better. But I think Aiden O'Connell, I think as long as Josh Jacobs can get some things going, it'll be an impressive game. It will be a better game. So Raiders to win, but the Jets to cover the spread at -1. And then finally, Monday Night Football, you got the Denver Broncos at the Buffalo Bills. Bills are favored by 7. Bills lost last week. Broncos were off last week. Give me the Bills to win. They should have a bounce-back game against the Broncos. The Broncos won the game against the Chiefs 2 weeks ago because of one reason and one reason only. Patrick Mahomes was sick with the flu. So, nice that they got that win against Mahomes, but it wasn't also their most impressive win, if that makes sense, too, because there were at times where they kind of almost gave that game away to the Chiefs in a very ill Patrick Mahomes. But the Bills should have a bounce-back game here. I think their offense is going to explode. Stephon Diggs is going to have some touchdowns here, although Denver's defense is getting better, but not great still. And I think Josh Allen and his running abilities, Stephon Diggs, and his ability to be able to break down the field and catch a deep touchdown pass, and we'll see if their ground game is better. A lot of kind of things to kind of figure in this game. That's going to be extremely interesting to see how it's going to go. But I'll take the Buffalo Bills to win. I'll take them to cover the spread too. Might be a risk factor, might be a little gutsy, but I'll take the Bills to win. And I'll take the Bills to win the spread as well. I think the Bills are going to be the better team. I think the Bills are the better team personally. They should be. And I think they're the more consistent team. With that being said, everybody, that is my Week 10 picks. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Enjoy this morning's game where the Patriots and the Colts are playing, which they're playing right now. 9:55 left in the first quarter. And they're going to hand the ball off to Zeke Elliott, who's running in for a couple of yards. They're in the red zone right there. So, let me know what you guys think. Enjoy the game this morning, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you all next time.